Pues buenísima. Es un lugar donde creo que no todos tenemos el gusto de conocer, y cuando lo conocemos nos abre la mente de un lugar completamente diferente a lo que uno espera, con mucha historia, con cosas que quizás uno cree, pero que al final uno logra entender que no fue así, y con una bella vista, un clima perfecto y sobre todo pues una buena historia que tienen acá. Claro que sí, pueden contactar siempre a Perú VIP, que ellos con gusto pues les pueden ayudar en el tour acá.
There are places that breathe, places that wait. Not in the linear sense of time that modern men assume to master, but in the cyclical depth of memory, in the geological patience of mountains, and in the spiritual resonance of those who have come and gone. One of these places, perhaps the most enigmatic of all the Andes, is Machu Picchu.
Guía para el tour.
It does not introduce itself with noise. It does not roar. It murmurs. This presence is not abrupt, but inevitable. Like the slow unveiling of a veil that has covered truth for centuries, it appears to those who are ready, not merely to observe, but to understand. And yet, even then, understanding Machu Picchu is not a conquest.
Ahí está. Ya, aquí muestran los boletos, por favor.
Gracias.
Circuito 2, circuito 2.
Gracias. Y es todo.
It is a surrender. To speak of Machu Picchu is to invoke a name that predates the textbooks and the tourist brochures. In Quechua, the language of the land and of the people who shaped its stones, Machu means old or ancient, while Picchu refers to a peak or mountain ridge. But like all ancient names, it resists simplification. It was never just a descriptor of age or altitude. It was a key, a linguistic sigil pointing to something greater. Machu Picchu, the old peak, is not just the name of the mountain on which the citadel rests.
Ahorita vamos a ver un video de cómo son las gradas para subir a Huayna. Vamos a ver el siguiente video. Sí, ahorita miren la punta de personas.
Okay.
Primera familia, por favor, primera familia.
It is the identity of the mountain that watches, that listens, that remembers. The very phonetics of the name carry the rhythm of wind against stone, of footsteps over sacred trails, of rituals lost in time but etched in the bones of the earth. It is, as the Andean elders might whisper, a name with spirit. The geography that embraces Machu Picchu is not incidental. It is deliberate, intentional. It is as though the citadel had not been built, but rather uncovered, revealed from the folds of the earth by hands that understood the grammar of the cosmos.
Ya, en todo caso, mira, por el lado de Urubamba es más seguro venir, ¿no? Has visto que hay aludes.
Suspended nearly 2,430 meters above sea level, between the enigmatic peaks of Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu, the sanctuary occupies a natural saddle, surrounded by the Urubamba River which coils like a serpent, a sacred animal in Andean cosmovision, suggesting the protective energy of the Oku Pasha, the inner world. This positioning is no accident. In Inca architecture, geography was sacred geometry. Mountains were not just masses of stone, but apis, living spirits, elders in geological form.
We have two archaeologists. There's no researching. Okay. There's no here start to excavate. Yeah. I think more than 400 people working at the moment. Wow.
The placement of Machu Picchu among them is a dialogue, a ceremonial exchange between the built and the born, between intention and intuition. The mountain ridge itself cradles the site with a protectiveness that feels almost maternal, like the earth itself shielding a sacred memory from the eyes of the unready.
Mais ça tombe bien, moi j'en avais pas, c'est le 12 en plus. T'avais la robe dedans? Non, j'avais la 9, la 8. Ça va bien. Super.
The ridges act not only as a natural fortress but as symbolic sentinels. To the north, Huayna Picchu rises like a silent guardian, often veiled in mist as though it keeps secrets even from the sun. To the south, the higher mountain Machu Picchu stands firm, its name echoed by the entire complex, suggesting a spiritual connection between the peak and the city, perhaps as a cosmic axis, a kind of Andean axis mundi. Here, the Inca concept of duality breathes in the stones. Male and female, upper and lower, visible and hidden. Even the river below, the Wilcameyu, known today as the Urubamba, winds through the valley with serpentine purpose, embracing the sanctuary in a sacred loop that echoes eternity. This is not random. The Incas did not build where it was convenient, nor did they construct cities by chance. They read the earth, they listened to it, and when the earth spoke, they responded not with conquest, but with alignment. Each stone at Machu Picchu seems to have heard that dialogue. Every terrace, wall, and stairwell appears to have emerged from that symbiosis, not imposed but invited. Scholars and skeptics may speak of practicality, of defense, of isolation, of agriculture. But to reduce this site to functions is to betray its true nature. Machu Picchu was never just a city. It was a threshold, a liminal space between worlds. Its orientation confirms this. The main axis of the sanctuary aligns with both solar and lunar events of cosmic significance. The Intihuatana, that mysterious carved stone dubbed the hitching post of the sun, stands not as a monument to archaic superstition, but as a device of astronomical resonance. During the solstices, the sun's rays strike it with perfect precision, illuminating not just the stone, but the minds of those who understood its significance. This was not mere observation of celestial patterns. It was participation in them. Machu Picchu was a place of integration between heaven and earth, body and spirit, time and timelessness. It is important, then, to understand that Machu Picchu was not discovered.
Ayuda a que el viento no se pase, ¿no? La lluvia. Aquí no suena de viento, ¿verdad?
Está un poquito cansado.
It was remembered. The notion that Hiram Bingham founded in 1911 is a historical convenience that suits the colonial narrative of discovery, as if the land did not exist until a foreign gaze validated it. But the truth is different. The site was never lost to those who still carried the blood memory of the Andes. Local families farmed nearby. Children played among the stones. The elders still whispered stories of the sacred place above the river. What Bingham did was document, through the lens of a different paradigm, what had always been present. The tragedy is not that the world learned of Machu Picchu, but that it forgot what it truly was.
But they also put rules on you about how you can store and things. Is it difficult to work with them? And I mean, there are times when you want to excavate and
In that forgetting, we imposed new definitions. We called it a citadel, a royal estate, a retreat. Perhaps parts of that are true. But Machu Picchu was more than function. It was intention, a temple without walls.
I'm reminded of the energy of the rocks.
A codex written in granite, a question carved into the mountain itself. Who are you when you stand between the stars and the soil? For those who approach Machu Picchu with reverence, that question echoes. For those who arrive only for photographs, it sleeps. Yet even sleep has a rhythm. Machu Picchu, despite centuries of silence, pulses with a rhythm that is not entirely human. It is older than Pachacutec, older than the empire that rose and fell. It is, perhaps, a beacon placed by a civilization that knew time differently, not as a river flowing forward, but as a circle returning to itself. And in this place, where the mountains breathe and the stones listen, we are offered not answers, but mirrors. Machu Picchu does not explain itself. It invites us to remember, and in doing so, it becomes what it always was. Not a ruin, but a revelation.
Se ha hecho como una excavación, son 30-35 centímetros, son bloques que no pertenecen al pueblo, ¿no? Ni a la cantera han traído, se han dejado ese trabajo. que las llamamos espejos de agua. No, se creía que era para moler maíz, pero se ve que está finita, finita, no hay desgaste, entonces sí, cumplía más como que observatorio. No, tal vez para observar al sol, a la luna, pero ¿quién decía si la luna está allá o el sol está allá? Era como que traerlo más cerca, ¿no? El espejo y en ese momento ponerlo frente. O tal vez el 21 de junio, solsticio de invierno, o el de diciembre, pues hay dos, el día más corto, el día más largo, ¿no? Tal vez al mediodía, el 21 de diciembre. He visto libros que dicen, pero yo tampoco. No, digo como que no hay ni fotos, ¿no? Pero dice, falta. No, aquí hay mucha información sobre cómo se guarda. Y a veces no se puede. Yo he venido 3 veces al año. 3 veces seguidas, aquí, 3 años seguidos, el 21 de junio, para ver lo que pasa en el templo del sol. La ventanita, la salida del sol y un rayo de luz siempre así. Yo puedo decir que sí, 7 y 21 de la mañana. Pero a veces como que dices voy y algo pasa y no viene, ya me está pasando mucho, tengo que venir el 21 de junio.
¿Has estudiado la posición del sol? En la noche la luna, las estrellas, posiblemente es el más visible. Es la única construcción dentro de la ciudad que no tuvo techos. Tenemos esa ciudad porque hay una parte interna que era para colgar láminas de oro, plata, cobre, bronce que los y este lugar fue un observatorio astronómico que a través del choque podían espiar todo lo que se ubicaba en la ciudad.
In the long memory of the Andes, before names were written in books and before lines were drawn on maps, there were whispers in the stones and intentions in the mountains. The land was already speaking, and those who knew how to listen, those whose lineage was braided into the very fabric of the earth. Responded by building not just with stone, but with vision. The Inca Empire, known as the Tawantinsuyo, was not born from war or ambition alone. It emerged from a sacred mandate, a spiritual architecture woven into geography, a civilization grounded in reciprocity with the cosmos. And in that vast structure of balance, perhaps no act was more visionary or more enigmatic than the construction of Machu Picchu.
Maybe some other people that are behind the building that entered to there with the ticket of ticket number 1. But they just
Ok, ahí abajo amigos, ¿ya?
Pueden estar aprovechando de tomar.
we wanna walk because of ticket or maybe ticket number 2 is the best.
Now, is the only way to get there or can you go
To speak of Machu Picchu without invoking the figure of Pachacutec is to tell a story without its soul. Pachacutec, the 9th Zapa Inca, whose name means earthshaker or he who overturns space and time, was not merely a ruler. He was a transformer, a spiritual strategist who envisioned an empire not only as a political dominion, but as an energetic tapestry stretching from the deserts of the north to the icy mountains of the south. Under his leadership, the small kingdom of Cusco transformed into an empire that would become one of the most sophisticated civilizations of the pre-Columbian world. And Machu Picchu, the sanctuary shrouded in cloud and myth, was likely the physical manifestation of that transformative vision. We must be cautious, however, not to view Pachacutec as a singular genius in isolation. In the Andean worldview, leaders were not isolated deities but custodians of cosmic order. His rise was marked by a deep alignment with the sacred.
Algunas de las variedades, especies de plantas que antiguamente se cultivaban aquí en Machu Picchu, ¿ya? Por ejemplo, tenemos hojas de coca, una de las plantas más famosas del mundo. A ver dónde está, distínganla, ¿ve?
Ese es. Ese.
No, es muy grande.
Esta tiene que
Mira, ¿dónde dice coca? A ver. Aunque no hay, ¿no?
Allá, orquídea. No sé. Pili. ¿Será que? No, aquella no es. Es muy grande. Esta siento que podría ser. ¿Es que te parece?
Ese arbustito de ahí.
Ese, el que yo pensé que no.
Claro.
La de más chiquita.
Una de las 10 plantas más consumidas del mundo. Esta es tan importante, por ejemplo, en la industria farmacéutica. ¿Saben cuál es el nombre opuesto de la coca? No es la cocaína que mata, ¿no? Es algo más letal, la Coca-Cola. Por ejemplo, a ver, les dije que, por ejemplo, el floripondio se utilizaba en las preparaciones craneanas. ¿Les he explicado? Ah, no, ayer fue esto, un tour al Valle Sagrado. Hice esta, por ejemplo, la familia de las piñas, bromelias, ¿no? El alimento favorito para los osos de anteojos. Sus raíces, ¿no? Esta y en otras variedades eran utilizadas en el proceso de momificación. Cuando el cuerpo está muerto, o sea, en post-mortis, digamos las hora y media, 2 horas después de muerto, el cuerpo se vuelve rígido, difícil de moverlo, difícil de flexibilizar las articulaciones. Y como ellos solían momificar en posición fetal, ellos han utilizado la raíz de la bromelia para flexibilizar las articulaciones y después darle la posición fetal. ¿Ya?
A call heard during a vision on the battlefield, where he was said to have encountered the spirit of the sun, Inti, who granted him legitimacy and divine purpose. From that moment on, Pachacutec would reorient the spiritual axis of the empire. Temples were rebuilt, roads extended, and rituals recalibrated to reflect this new relationship between the people and the stars. Machu Picchu, it is believed, was constructed not as a retreat for luxury, but as a place of communion, a sanctuary to preserve and refine the sacred knowledge inherited by the Incas and possibly those before them. The Inca did not build cities to display dominance. They aligned them to the heavens. Capac Nan, the Great Road Network, was more than infrastructure.
At least you can know something close today. Okay? Tonight is your opportunity. Don't miss to see the Southern Cross. Believe me, it's free to see the stars. It's free to see the stars. Tonight or tomorrow, try to see the Milky Way and find the Southern Cross. It's easy to see the Southern Cross. Brazil, no.
It was an energetic web, linking ceremonial centers and sacred mountains across thousands of kilometers. Machu Picchu's location, remote, elevated, and interwoven with astronomical alignments, speaks to a greater purpose than mere escape. Some scholars suggest it was a royal estate. Others see it as an agricultural station. But when viewed through the lens of Inca spirituality, it becomes clear that Machu Picchu was a ceremonial node, a cosmic observatory, a place where time could be bent, and where initiates could experience transformations of the soul. This city, carved with obsessive precision, was likely never meant for the masses.
Una vizcacha ahí nos está mirando.
Its limited residential structures suggest a carefully selected population: priests, astronomers, noble retainers. Those who walked its stairways were not tourists, but pilgrims. And the journey to Machu Picchu was as important as the arrival. The Inca Trail, with its ascending pathways and ceremonial checkpoints, was a ritual in motion. To reach the sanctuary was to pass through spiritual thresholds, shedding layers of the mundane to arrive at the sacred.
¿Qué pasó? Ce l'avevamo tutte?
Every step taken along its ancient route was an act of reverence, a slow pilgrimage toward elevated consciousness. Yet there is something else that must be said. The narrative of the Inca Empire, even in its glory, is incomplete without acknowledging the echoes of civilizations that came before. The Incas themselves spoke of Na Peruna, the ancient ones. They did not claim to have built all. Instead, they revered the legacy left by those who had shaped the land in times so distant they became myth. Machu Picchu.
Ya por acá en todo caso, vamos por acá. Claro. Miren, por ejemplo, nosotros en el mes de agosto realizamos un ritual a la tierra, ¿no? Nosotros le llamamos a la tierra Pachamama, ¿ya? Entonces, ¿qué es lo que pasa en agosto? ¿Por qué en agosto? No solo en Perú, principalmente en los Andes, los pueblos en los Andes, ¿ya? Está relacionada a la agricultura, ¿ya? Nosotros, la mayoría de los pueblos que están en los Andes terminan de...
In its silence, seems to resonate with this deeper ancestry. Could it be that Pacacutec, in his wisdom, did not so much construct Machu Picchu as restore it? Was he reactivating an older sanctuary, aligning it with the new rhythms of the Tawantinsuyo? The stones do not answer, but they remember. If we listen closely, the architecture speaks. The seamless masonry, the trapezoidal doors, the solar observatories, all bear the signature of Andean cosmology, yet hint at a mastery that continues to elude modern engineers.
Machu Picchu tiene una arquitectura paisajística, de donde la vea, todos son bonitas vistas.
That's why this place is still considered one of the mystery places.
How did they shape these stones? How did they lift them without the wheel, without beasts of burden? These are questions that history has turned into riddles. But the people of the Andes never saw technology as separate from spirit. To them, shaping stone was not a feat of engineering alone. It was an act of ritual, a cooperation with the Wakas, the living energies of nature. And so we return to Pacacutec, not just as a ruler of territories, but as a restorer of ancient energies. His empire was built not just on power, but on resonance. And Machu Picchu, whether newly constructed or newly remembered under his reign, was the crown jewel of that resonance. A place where the empire's invisible architecture its spiritual blueprint became visible in stone. It was never meant to be conquered. It was meant to be experienced. From Cusco, the navel of the world, Pachacutec extended not just his armies but his cosmological order. The land, as understood by the Inca, was not merely terrain to be dominated, but a canvas to be harmonized. Mountains were not obstacles, they were deities. Rivers were not to be tamed, they were veins of the earth.
Okay.
Now it starts in mid-September
And in this worldview, each construction, each agricultural terrace, each ceremonial center had to resonate with the Pachacuti, the cosmic cycle of transformation. This is what makes Machu Picchu more than a city. It makes it a ritual encoded in granite, an architecture that embodies time, myth, and geography simultaneously. To understand the magnitude of this empire, one must grasp its radical ambition. The unification of diverse ecological zones, languages, and peoples under a common spiritual framework. The Tawantinsuyo stretched from the warm valleys of Ecuador to the dry coasts of Chile, from the peaks of Bolivia to the jungles of the Amazon.
Was ist denn das?
Eine kleine Ratte. Perfecto, hola. Cantidad de turistas que vienen hacia Machu Picchu.
The Inca did not impose a single culture, they integrated. Through diplomacy, marriage, and strategic generosity, they forged a unity that was enforced not just through swords and spears, but through symbols, rituals, and shared myths. The Sikh system, which radiated from the Coricancha in Cusco like rays of the sun, extended spiritual authority across sacred huacas and ceremonial landmarks, and Machu Picchu was likely embedded within this web of divine correspondence. It is within this web that Machu Picchu must be understood, not as an isolated marvel perched above a river valley, but as a node in an intricate system of sacred geography.
But you are lucky, because normally we have more people.
When one walks its paths, one is not simply moving through space, but through a coded message. Each wall is a line in a prayer. Each stone niche is a syllable in a hymn. And above it all, the presence of the Apis, the mountain spirits, frame the sanctuary in a constant dialogue between earth and sky. In this way, Pachacutec's genius was not just political. It was metaphysical. He restructured the land as a living temple. And Machu Picchu, hidden by design, was its holiest chamber. What kind of rituals were performed here? What knowledge was kept in its hidden chambers? Archaeologists speak of astronomical ceremonies, solstice rituals, mummification rites, and even training for Inca priests and chosen women, the Aklas. But beyond academic theories, there are whispers passed down by Andean elders that suggest Machu Picchu was a gateway, not in a physical sense, but in an energetic one.
Bien, a ver, vengamos para aquí, por favor.
That within its precise construction, its alignments with constellations, and its sacred stones like the Intihuatana, lie encoded formulas to open perception, to awaken memory, to access states of consciousness beyond ordinary thought. This idea, dismissed by mainstream historians, continues to echo in the hearts of those who feel more than see when they stand in that place. One must ask, why was Machu Picchu so hidden? Unlike other cities, It was not built in an open valley or along the major routes of Kapak Nan.
What is this?
Keep going. Use the rope if you need it.
Oh, that's what it is.
You're kind of strong, kid.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Olympian. It's kind of steep, right?
It's narrow path.
But every country we've been to, we done climbed a mountain. We did climb something in Jordan. To take pictures at the top of Petra.
I made it to go.
Beautiful. It's an incredible place.
Be careful.
Yeah, good energy. Yeah.
It's not. I got this bottle and shit. It's throwing off my balance. It's throwing off my balance a little bit.
You're walking down there like you're walking on a sidewalk, man. Like I was hands and knees for the last 50 feet.
Where you from, man?
I'm from London.
Okay.
London, like Canada, London?
London, England.
Oh, London,
Yeah.
You don't hear the accent?
But I live in the Bahamas.
I don't know the difference.
You doing this by yourself?
No, my partner's, she's
Its access was restricted, its position remote, and its visibility cloaked by the jungle and the mist. This was not accidental. Pakakutek, or those who advised him, understood that power lies not in exposure, but in preservation. Some knowledge must be guarded, not erased. Machu Picchu's very concealment was its protection, from the Spanish, from time, and perhaps from the corruption of purpose. It was not meant to be seen by all. It was meant to be seen by those who had prepared themselves to see. In many ways, Pakakutek's construction of Machu Picchu is comparable to a musician writing a symphony for instruments no longer played, or a poet composing in a language that only the wind remembers.